Hi, I'm Father Brian Brooks, the pastor of the Church of St. Benedict here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and offering today's reflection for Thursday, August the 27th. On the Catholic calendar, this is the memorial of St. Monica. Monica was the mother of St. Augustine, so we have a kind of his feast day is tomorrow, so I'll talk more about him in tomorrow's reflection. But Monica is seen as a patron of mothers and also those living in difficult circumstances and their families. Monica was from North Africa, it's now Algeria, Tunisia. She was a Christian. She was also of a Berber background, the people who are native to North Africa. Her husband was a Roman. His name was Patricus, or Patrick in English. Rome at that time had colonized North Africa, and in Libya and Algeria and Tunisia was basically the breadbasket of the Roman Empire. The marriage was a difficult one. Monica was a committed Christian. Patricus was not. Neither was his mother, who also lived with them, and neither were their children, of which Augustine is the best known of. And Augustine, in his book, The Confessions of St. Augustine, which is kind of the first autobiography in Western literature, talks about this, that he would say as a young man he would go and try to break as many commandments as he could in a single night. And there are times in which Monica, who was no kind of wilting wallflower submissive, but one time locked him out of the house. He talks about how he has to sleep on the roof because of things. She took a lot of verbal abuse from her husband and from her mother-in-law. However, by the time she dies, they've all been baptized. Her husband is baptized on his deathbed, as well as her mother-in-law has also accepted Christ, and then most famously her son, particularly Augustine, when he's in his early 30s. And this is what he probably writes in his autobiography. What happens next? This happens in Milan, in northern Italy, where Augustine had been. They're traveling a very long trip back to North Africa to their home, and they talk about this conversation that they have on a very quiet evening on the coast as they're resting a few days before they get on the ship to go back to North Africa. So Augustine says he says, and so the two of us, he and his mother Monica, all alone, were enjoying a very pleasant conversation, forgetting the past and pushing on to what is ahead. We were asking one another in the presence of the truth, for you, O Lord, are the truth, what it would be like to share the eternal life enjoyed by the saints, which eye has not seen, nor ear has heard, which has not even entered into the heart of man. We desired with all our hearts to drink from the streams of your heavenly fountain, the fountain of life. That was the substance of our talk, though not the exact words. But you know, O Lord, what the course of our conversation that day, the world and its pleasures lost all their traction for us. My mother said, "Son, as far as I'm concerned, nothing in this life now gives me any pleasure. I do not know why I'm still here, since I have no further hopes in this world. I had one reason to wanting to live a little longer, to see you become a Catholic Christian before I died. God has lavished his gifts upon me in this respect, for I know that you have even renounced earthly happiness to be his servant. So why am I here?" Augustine goes on to say that a few days later his mother becomes ill and dies not long after that. She's a great reminder to us. She's not just a patron saint who put up with difficult people in her family. A great example of faith. And also to see in our families, we should see the family as the domestic church. In our families, what do we talk about? What's talked about at the dinner table? What's talked about maybe with our friends, particularly do we have spiritual conversations the way Monica and Augustine had? We can talk about the weather, we can talk about sports, we can talk about politics, we can talk about the coronavirus and so on and so on. But do we have those conversations in which we are wanting to share the gift of faith with each other, to challenge one another, to encourage one another, to have those holy friendships? And also our families exist to help each other to get to heaven. And Monica was right. She's like, her mission in life was to bring the message of Christ, the gospel, to her family, including the son that probably put more gray hairs on her head than anybody else, Augustine. Do we see our families that have that purpose? And what are you talking about around the dinner table? I'm blessed to have some of my priest friends and we have such conversations. And I'm not just talking about griping about things, but I'm talking about the things about faith, the things that truly matter the most. And if you don't have such friendships, spiritual friendships within the family or a circle of friends, it doesn't have to be very large. If there's no one in that circle of friends, 1, 2, or maybe 3 people that you can have these talks to, talks with and discussions with to help disciple each other, why not? What's keeping you from doing so? We have to get over maybe a shyness, a bashfulness, and to pray for that, to be able to help form those friendships or to seek to become part of them. It's a great gift that we help one another to desire to become saints, as did Monica and Augustine, her son. So on this memorial of Saint Monica, our blessings and our prayers go out for our brothers and sisters at St. Monica's Parish in Tulsa as well as in Edmond, Oklahoma. And to all moms out there, especially my mom, if Augustine had had Google, he probably would have had a coffee mug just like this, because his mother did know everything that mattered the most. New life in Jesus Christ. So God bless you and keep you safe.